And here we are live. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thanks
Hello.
for being here. I see Pierrette is already here. Thanks for being here already, Pierrette. We
I'm here.
welcome you. Yeah. Kate is, hi, Akila. Kate, I'm not sure if she's going to show up or not. She said no, and then she said maybe. So if she does, that's fine. I'll bring her in. She is playing nursemaid to her husband right now, who had some surgery. So I want to send out love and healing energy to John, and I
Yes.
hope he's doing better. And I always want to send it out to the wife, who's the caregiver as well. Because, we need that kind of kudos as well. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So
Exactly.
Diana, what have you been doing? She's been working on my husband's horoscope, which is very exciting. But
It is.
what else have you been doing? What else is up?
Well, so you know how you manifest, you put it out there to the universe. And one of the
Yep.
things that I wanted to do when I moved back to Michigan was to just go to a store and read tarot every once in a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a house party for tarot
Uh-huh.
readings, and the first woman who sat down owns a boutique and has the spot and
Oh,
asked me if
wow.
I wanted, and it was like, oh my God, pick me! I've been trying to do this for 3 years, and
Yes, yes.
so, and the best part about it is it's in one of my favorite historic towns
Okay.
down in around the first Henry Ford plant, but the history about that is the River Rouge
Uh-huh.
and the trade route that it was for the Potawatomi Indians. This is the hometown territory of my chief Tonquish, one of my personal guides who's been guiding me since I was 4 years old.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
right,
How
not only did I
exciting. Yes.
manifestation, but I'm getting chills because he's the one who made me come home to Michigan, and I'm going to be reading tarot cards and have
On his
already
land.
done
Yeah.
in
Oh,
his territory. So I am,
oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just that little bit that makes it
Yeah.
stay
Yes, I know
current.
exactly what you mean.
You know
Just
what I
it
mean?
keeps you in your spiritual flow
Right,
and
and
doing what you love.
out in
Yeah,
public. I don't.
out in public. Right.
I
Yep.
do it on Zoom, but I so
Uh-huh.
much prefer
Oh,
hands
sure.
on with people. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So are you just doing it like once or twice a week, or are you doing it
a
every other week?
couple times a month.
Oh, a couple times a month. Okay. That's
Couple times
wonderful.
a
That's
month.
wonderful. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we'll see where we go from there.
There it
You know, let's
goes.
just start out slowly. The other best part about this is the location,
Right.
because um, there is a crystal shop there that has been in business for more than 30 years. And at one time they had two locations. And when I was a teenager, I was going to the other location.
Okay.
Then they
Okay.
had opened this one up. Eventually,
Uh-huh.
they closed the older location
Mm-hmm.
and stuck with this one in Plymouth. Now,
Okay.
they had tarot readers in town,
Mm-hmm.
packed in a building right next to where the crystal shop is. And when COVID came, everybody scattered
Everything
and
shut
nobody
down.
wanted to come back to the store. So
Oh.
I'm the only reader in town doing things live. So it's not how many people, it's the
That's
time that
right.
we get to spend with
Right.
those who we discover with each other,
Correct.
you know?
Yes.
So,
And if someone really wanted one, I suppose you do a Zoom for them if you couldn't go into the
sure.
store.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did during the heat of COVID.
Sure.
But now
Yeah.
that I'm going back down there, like I have been working events throughout
Uh-huh.
the summer and autumn months, a little
Yeah.
here, a little there, just a couple. But this
Good.
is going to be because most of those clients are down in that area. So
Oh,
now
awesome.
they'll have a better
Yeah.
opportunity if
Like a
something
little
comes up.
nucleus, like a
Yeah,
nucleus of the group.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
I'm so excited for you. That's wonderful. That is, and
Thank you.
see, if you keep yourself open, everybody, to possibility and just allow it to come in and accept the changes that come in your life, you just never know where you're going to end up. And you did. You
Yeah.
followed your intuition, you followed your guides, and then you followed your way down there. And look at, oh my goodness, that's fabulous. Also, are you offering for those folks if they want to have astrology stuff too?
Yeah, because it's just always part of my thing.
Sure,
And
it's part of
because,
what you do. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have an app on my phone, so I can always do something quick,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know, be able
Yeah.
to, if they're interested.
If they're interested. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So I do want to again say to everybody, welcome this evening. I have Diana with me tonight, and Kate is home with her husband, sort of playing nursemaid because he had some surgery done. So we want to make sure we send out a lot of love and healing to John and also to Kate, of course. And she'll be back soon, no doubt. But I'm so happy to have Diana with me, who is just fabulous at what she does as well. And so we thank you, Diana, for coming. And thank you, everybody. Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. It's really good. So, Diana, I got to start out by telling you, last night I couldn't get to sleep. You and I sort of alluded to the fact we were having trouble sleeping. And I know a lot of that is planetary, and I know a lot of that is, I don't know, too much coffee for me probably. But when I finally started to fall asleep last night, it was about 3 a.m, I think, but I laid back and I closed my eyes and I felt as though I had left my body and was looking at it from up here. And it didn't go too much more than that. I just thought it was wonderful, though. It was like I could just see myself rising and rising, and the earth getting bigger and bigger under me. And I guess that's what it feels like when you're doing astral travel. I don't know. It does? Okay.
It's that moment of, oh, here we go.
Here we go, like a balloon going up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
That's
Well, it didn't last for a long time, but I was kind of excited by it because the night before I had woken up and I distinctly heard a voice, and there's just myself and my dogs here, but I don't know what it said. But I do remember thinking to myself, I need to remember that I heard a voice. And then, of course, I should have written it down or something because yeah.
But even though you didn't hear what he said anyway, you didn't hear what the voice said.
Not really, no. But it wasn't my voice. I know that. Yeah.
And you remember that you heard a voice. So
I remember I heard
along the line, you could hear this voice. And when you hear that voice, the whole dream will be triggered. The whole thing will come back.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, this is the first time I've had that, what is it, clairaudient? It's the first time I've ever heard anything. In a dream, I hear talking and things, but I don't hear it when I'm awake. And so, wow. So create love, you would say yes, that I heard a voice, or you would say that's the astral travel. I don't know, but I sure liked it. I wanted it to continue. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I can accomplish that more often, like in the afternoon, if I'm doing a meditation in the afternoon, a guided meditation where there's music, or I'm doing Wim Hof. I'm off to La La Land by the third time if I'm doing a Wim Hof breathing. So, and that's usually how I first leave
the
and
body.
go off to that lucid dream, which isn't really a lucid dream because
I
snap back.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It did not come back fast. I did not come back fast, but I felt the other thing was it was in black and white.
Mm.
Is that possible? I mean, yeah.
It was dark. It was night.
Yeah.
It was 3 a.m.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
You have to get out there to the other plane.
Well, growing up as we did as youngsters with black and white TVs, I mean, I was in college before we had a color TV. I mean, it wasn't that I never saw one, but you know what I mean. And so nothing bothers me in black and white.
By the time my mother got one, I was long gone.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe hypnicity. Maybe it was a past life. You would never know. Um,
Right?
it could be. It could be. I just feel like I've got a couple of things going on in my house that I'm not too excited about. The first is that I have a resident mouse that comes out every night and has made its way to my bedstead. And
You named them yet? I've
well,
given my names.
my husband told me to do that. He says, call it Matilda or something like that, or Gertrude. And but my dogs had seen it the first night and they were a riot. They didn't know what they found, and they didn't know what to do. But as you know, they're nocturnal, so they only come out at night. But I've seen also the little poops all over the
Yeah.
bed. Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm not really being excited about falling asleep because I don't want them in my
yeah.
bed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
a little
maybe
too
it was
close
Ben.
to comfort.
Yes. That's remember the song Ben by Michael Jackson? Yes.
Yeah. Or the movie. The movie, Ben.
Movie. Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
there's Despero, Did
Right.
you ever,
Right.
or The Mouse and the Motorcycle,
Mm-hmm.
which was another one my kid had to read, which I loved. Absolutely
Yeah.
loved. And Despero, that's fantastic. And
It
then
is.
the Castle Under the Stairs is all about the mice that live in this other world,
Uh-huh.
They're really intelligent creatures,
Yes. Yes. They are. I had a hamster when I was a kid. And so I'm not against rodents. I just don't want them in my bedroom when I'm trying to sleep. Even though it's probably about this big, it's just a teeniest little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
mine I don't know. I have great stuffed every darn hole I could find. And they have this, they come in, they eat the decon. Sorry to say, but I gotta put it in the.
Me too.
That's it. Maybe there's some droppings on the kitchen counter, but they don't go anywhere else but to the decon in my tool drawer,
Well, they do that and then they go for water. And so one day last year when I was up north for like a month, I came home and there was one floating in the toilet because it must have fallen in to get a drink or something. I don't know, but boy, oh boy, I tell you,
Yeah.
not my
Sometimes
idea
I
of
leave a pot of water in the sink, praying, letting it soak overnight to make scrubbing easier.
Absolutely.
And I wake up in the morning and go, oh, please don't let there be one.
So Mary says she dreams in black and white all the time. I know that they say a lot of men never dream in color. And I know I dream in color, but this wasn't really sleep. So but flying. Let's talk about flying.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Is it like the best feeling in the world?
Yes.
When you're flying in a dream?
Yes. In fact, we did a program dream. Now, there's a sense of astral projection with that because you do have an idea of where you're going. You're searching for certain things as markers for the dream, to hopefully meet up with others who are trying to have this experience with you. Mm-hmm. So there's a sense of that astral projection there.
Sure.
I fly quite a bit. Sometimes it's on my broom, sometimes it's on my dragon, sometimes it's an astral flight.
Sure.
But
wow.
That one dream where I had gone to Ukraine, well, I've had several going to Ukraine, but particularly in the beginning, where it was a shared experience with someone as well.
Right.
Remember that? So, and then when you program, how else are you going to get there? Right?
Right.
You're going to a plane that is above where we are.
Correct.
How are you going to get
there? Yep. Yeah. How are you going to get there? Unless you fly. That's right. And I've had this situation. Wiki says sometimes she only can get like 6 inches off the ground. And I've had that too. I can see the road sort of under me. And I'm thinking, am I going to crash here? Am I going to, go into the depths of the road.
Well, now let me think of something else, because, as you say that, there are times where you are in that present feeling of watching what is going on,
Mm-hmm.
elevated, but not quite as high as you were when you came in to the scene. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I don't often touch the ground. I don't often
I've never
feel
touched the ground, but I'm pretty
bark.
close to it. Yeah, I'm pretty close to it.
Like if
But
I'm
I've
looking at it, not in a bird's eye view, but rather face on. Sometimes it
right,
feels face on, but you're still elevated,
correct.
right?
Yep, yep.
Never thought of it that.
And I've had that too. It's this feeling. You're almost feeling like you're going to skin your nose because you're so close to the ground.
Well,
And
I had a prophetic dream the night before Valerie's brother had the motorcycle accident.
okay.
And it was him. It was when she told me what had happened, I knew that dream was all about him.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And was it seeing a person or that you
Yeah.
didn't know, but yeah?
Well, I did, and what I didn't even know it was going to be open to this.
Look at that,
We
everybody. I mean,
came down
her art.
a road, and what I had witnessed was me on a saucer, the snow saucers that we used to
Oh,
have.
yeah.
They were
Yeah.
metal when we were kids, right?
Yes. Yes.
They were not made out of plastic when I was little. Okay,
Right.
so I was coming down this hill, but this hill did not have any snow on it. It was all rock and messy and everything. And I ride motorcycles, so I know what an iron horse is all about, right?
Sure.
And this is the hill that he was coming down that had gravel on it. It was the hill by his house, and he was on a motorcycle, and it was raining, and he got T-boned by a car that ran a stop sign, and I saw him get skidded. Even though I thought it was me on here, I saw all of this playing out. Now, the things that had occurred in the dream prior to that also were about him. And it ended up being like, of course, he ended up in the hospital with 7 surgeries. I had 7 little kids here that I had seen as they were incremental, right? Children, similar. They were all dressed in similar dresses, but this incremental, different ages, dealing with similar situations, broken arms, broken wrists, broken knee, broken this, broken that. So all of those things ended up fitting in with
to the
that
truth.
from that whole dream into after the news came out.
So you should let everyone know we're friends with Valerie, who is Illumination Portal, but you did not know Nick. You have never even saw Nick.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I didn't even know she had 2 brothers.
Had a brother. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I knew she had one, but
yeah. And you wouldn't have put it together. That it would, could have been anybody,
right,
your own family or whatever. Yeah.
And and the one thing that stuck with me the most out of all of that to begin with was the fact somebody's going to have a motorcycle accident. This is too crazy. This is a motorcycle.
Oh my God. Wow.
And sure enough.
Yeah.
Because I quit riding, but I do have friends who ride, still.
Yeah. Well, just since you brought it up as well, there is a GoFundMe for Nick. He has to have his home redone so he can have a ramp put in so he can wheelchair access his house. And so Valerie has done a GoFundMe page for him. And if anybody, certainly the prayers would, and because I know not everybody's got a lot of money, but if you think you can donate anything, I can certainly pass the link along to you if you let me know, everybody. So just send me an email. But that's incredible, Diana. Wowee. And the more our community grows and the more spiritually tight we are, the more of these things probably will occur. And wow, that's fabulous. Wow.
So, you never know when it's prophetic, when it's something
You're
that
right.
like just out of left field,
Correct. Correct. Yep. Even you had the same thing last year. I believe it was somebody that you either
Yes.
went to school with or something, and you had the bells of the church ringing, and yeah,
And then
yeah,
they passed.
they passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have that gift. You definitely have that gift. But like you say, you're not sure when it's happening exactly who it is. But then
Casmer,
later you
right?
hear, yeah, yeah.
Right. It was a guy I had gone to high school with, and his name was Casmer, which is also the high school we went to, St. Casmer.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I heard the bells ringing, and
Mm-hmm.
he suddenly
Wow.
keeled over.
Wow. That's amazing. So Create Love has put up a dream here. She said she fell asleep during a meditation, and she was in the wind, she says. And then she saw an eagle, and I thought I was the eagle. Then I looked down and I see a school of dolphins, and I became them. And then thought being wind was better. So I woke up. You're a lot lighter, Create Love. You know, it's like me going up, backing up, and looking down on the earth. It was like, woo, this is fun. I'm not having any gravity issues here.
Right?
Wow, wow,
I like
that's
that.
amazing. That's like a soul journey, isn't it? Is that? I mean, isn't that what the shamans do? They sort of shape shift in a
Well,
way. Yeah,
here's the point where you are a participant in your dream. You take control. It's
right,
like if you
right,
are having a bad dream, what do? Get your
right.
dragon out, get rid of the monster.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it is cool though that you can. Um, it's fun. It reminds me of something that happened to me a number of years ago. I went to visit a friend, and a friend of mine had just passed, and his name was Charles, but I always called him my buddy. Hi, Charles, you're my buddy. So I went to my friend's house, and she had a dog that was a little dachshund, and his name was Buddy. And so Buddy is acting really strangely, just Lori said, what, this is really different. And so I went to a psychic, and the psychic said, your friend Charles is with you. And I said, oh, really? And she said, yes. Well, she explained what he looked like, and, she didn't know his name, but it was him. And she
okay.
said, he's telling you this really wild here, Al, because he called me Al. It's really wild here, Al. You were right about everything, because he was very Catholic and he knew I was very spiritual. And he said, you were right about everything. I even can go into that little dog and do things.
So he was performing for you to get your attention. There you go.
He was manipulating the energy of the dog, but not in a bad way. He didn't do anything mean or anything to it. But, it's like, oh, this is really cool. I can go inside this dog and just have a great time. Yeah. 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 So Create Love she was the wind. And then she was able to go into the dolphins. That must have been very freeing as well. But then she liked the wind better. I don't blame her. I probably would have too, because you can just go. You can just flow. Yeah.
No, you just with your story there, you just made me realize. So my first boyfriend was killed in Vietnam, right on his first mission, and he has been with me every day since. And I think it was the beautiful full moon that we were having in December of 2020. And it was, the sun was setting and the moon was out, and it was like only like 4:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but that sun was dropping fast. And it was the day that he was released, was able to release his spirit and cross over. And so whenever and I'm getting chills, when I whenever I walk, when I get to that spot, he's there. I can feel when he is actually there. Sometimes he's
Uh-huh.
out doing other things. And
Right.
I have a thing for owls. I used to rescue raptors, and owls were my favorite to work with.
Uh-huh.
And there's a barred owl. They're the ones who go, hoo, 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 who cooks
Oh,
for you.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he is making noise at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now,
Mm-hmm.
barred owls are the last ones to go to bed and the first ones to come out at night.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And they come out early. They come out, pre-dusk, but
Uh-huh.
sunset. And so this is the brightest time of day. And I've heard this owl several times. And you
Oh,
just made me realize that
he's
that is
talking to you.
Ernesto hooting at me, because every time I hear it, it's loud. It's from the treetop. The first couple of times I thought it was a person in the woods. So I
Uh-huh.
answered. I've answered every
Wow.
time since. It answers me. And today it was absolutely the truth, because there was no one else
Oh,
there.
wow.
I had
Okay.
scoured all the parking lots to see, where do I want to go first,
Where do I
because
want to go
I've got the
first? Yeah.
spot where I can let the dogs run free, right?
Sure. Uh-huh.
I did that, and the owl started making his noise, and when I got to the clearing where Ernesto had released,
Mm-hmm.
crossed over, the chills came in. I felt his arm go around my shoulder, and I heard the owl for the last time.
Oh, my goodness sakes. So, yes. So now when you go, you'll
See?
know he's there. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you hadn't have told us about this, I would not
Yeah.
have correlated the two.
That's
But
very
now
true.
I know that that's what that is. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it isn't that you didn't know, it's that you didn't know you knew.
Right. There you go. You never know what
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Oh my God, yes. All right. Mary says, I believe we meet up with people, long poles extending from the earth that have light with a saucer-like plate on top. And those
Oh,
poles are other people I see all the time. That's a fascinating image, Mary.
right.
Wow. Yeah. It's like
Ah,
one of those guys that balances a saucer on a pole. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The old
Okay.
frisbee, before frisbee was a thing, remember?
Yeah.
Ed
Yeah. Yeah.
Sullivan, they would do that all the time.
They would.
Had
Yes.
30 of them
Absolutely.
going.
Yeah. Wow. Yep.
That's
There
awesome.
has to be. Yeah. It's really awesome. You're absolutely right. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. That's really cool. All right. So then we have Samantha. I had a dream where a brown bear was so close to my face. I can see his wet nose. Oh my goodness. Behind him was a white wolf just looking at me. Very peaceful. Maybe my spirit animals. I wouldn't doubt it.
No, they're both canines to begin with. So canine has something for you, right?
Ah, okay. Even a bear is a canine?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We know that Andrea Galvin uses bear medicine a lot. She has a thing with a bear. But the
Yes.
white wolf, oh my goodness, that must be beautiful. But they're allies. They're going to be allies, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Purity,
Mhm.
wisdom, um,
Yeah.
the the perpetual student as well as the perpetual teacher. That is
Right.
what wolf symbolizes.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So this is
Wow.
standing in your truth and using your bear medicine.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
they're all
yeah,
canine, all related to what
beautiful.
bring home as pets.
I was going to say, you're close to a bear or you're close to an animal in a dream when you can either see their breath or the dots of perspiration on their little nose. But I
Yeah.
don't get the sense that you were fearful. Were you fearful, Samantha? Because I'm sensing, and maybe because you said they were very peaceful as well. So they were just revealing themselves to you, because you don't say I was afraid. And because really the dream that you're having or the vision that you're having is real when we're having it. So, it could seem a little ominous to have two very, you know, fierce animals that could potentially be fierce that
Sure.
close to you.
But
Yeah.
they're your guardians,
Uh-huh.
and that was their message. We are here watching over you.
Well, everybody knows about mine. Mine are deer. And last night I'm sitting here and I'm teaching a class and we're almost done. And I look out the window and down the road, of course, there's no traffic out here. Down the road is mom and 3 baby deer right behind her. And they're molting. I could see, that's how clear it was. I could see them out there. And when I got finished with the class, I couldn't help but I have to see what they're doing, And they were out in my grove area eating grass. And 3 of them saw me and they just looked at me and said, "Nope, we're not staying near this lady." So they went away, but the one of them stayed there and then realized the other 3 had left. And so stopped and I said, "Well, you're just so beautiful. I don't want you to go anywhere." And the ears were, and stood there and stared at me for a good 15 or 20 seconds. And it was such a gift. Oh,
isn't it such a feeling? It's such a feeling.
It is.
Know that that they're not afraid of you. They don't smell
right.
threat.
Right. They don't smell right. And yet I don't want them to be domesticated because I don't want them to be taken advantage of. So I try very hard to but yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
I believe that they do understand. I
do too.
They do tap into the common frequency, that vibration, that frequency that places all creation on a level where we harmonize and find an even tone with each other.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I was reading about this lady was talking about how sensitive trees are. And she said, when you go to cut a tree down, you need to talk to it and tell it what's going to happen because it's like it screams. It's you're murdering it, And I felt that way about animals that are going to the slaughter because I know that a lot of adrenaline goes through those animals, but I never thought about it. A tree, I guess I should have thought about it because it's the same with flowers. If you're picking them, you're thanking the earth for giving them to you. You don't just rip them up and take them away, know. Right. But there's just so much of a symbiotic relationship between everything, and we don't really think of it that way usually. Yeah.
The tree's roots talk to each other. Hi, Jack. We had a dream hookup the other night. We had programmed.
Good.
Yeah. But the dream, what she's talking about, was the night before we had decided, well, let's program and see where we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the trees, if you've never heard or read the book, The Secret Life of Trees, do so.
Okay.
And then there's another one called The Secret Life of Plants. And they're both extremely interesting. And it's like mushrooms. Mushrooms, you can pick a mushroom on this side of the earth and one in China knows you picked them because everything runs underneath.
They speak to each other. Yeah. I get it.
They speak to each other. That fungal guide is through the earth. The ley lines, the dragon lines, all of the things that mesh and keep this earth spinning in the first place. And we are all residents of this place. So of course we share language that we don't even know we know.
Even know we share. Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Mary, you have sometimes 40 to 50 deer in your field. Oh, wow. And there's a road a few miles where people go and watch hundreds of. Oh, that is so wonderful, Mary. Oh my God. They're just such beautiful, graceful animals. I remember this guy I went to high school with. I won't say he was even a friend, but he calls them large rats. That's how he views deer, that they're nothing more than large vermin. And I don't see it that way. I see them as, um, oh my God, just the embodiment of beauty and grace and how they move. And yeah, but that
You
sounds
know,
really wonderful.
one of the interesting facts, because I'm an artist, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've drawn several deer, and what I find so interesting about them is when their mouth is shut, you can see this big line that is their upper jaw and lower jaw. But when
Uh-huh.
they open their
Uh-huh.
mouth, all of that closes very close, because what do they eat? They eat grasses,
Right.
and they have a big overbite that you don't even realize they
Like my
have.
Shih Tzus have. Yeah.
Right, right. And
Yes.
they
Yes.
peel bark off the tree when winter comes, and
Uh-huh.
so they have to get in there close
Right.
and tight because they
Close
eat
enough.
wood.
Sure.
That's how they
Sure.
survive.
Yeah, yeah. We also have in another area, which is a protected wetland. They don't come up in my area, but we have some elk there, and I have seen them meander out onto the road. It worries me because that's a busier, not real busy, but busy enough that if it was dark, you could hit them
Sure.
and hurt them and yourself. But there's just nothing more beautiful, I don't think, than being able to be out and live somewhere where there's still nature that can walk through your yard or down your street. Yeah.
So in Virginia, it was much easier because the place I walked was protected and they weren't hunted. So
Uh-huh.
there were many more around, and they had gotten used to me. And I would go in the morning before other foot traffic got there, before people got there. And
Uh-huh.
they had gotten very accustomed to me because I always sang this one Native American song. And
Uh-huh.
they knew the tune. They knew when it was me. And I was singing and singing one day, and there was a buck
Uh-huh.
with several doe around him. And the doe just stayed where they were. And he slowly walked closer and closer and closer to me
Wow.
while I was singing. He didn't come close to threaten me. He didn't,
Mhm.
dump his
Yeah.
head and put his horns in my direction. He just listened. He
Yeah.
just listened.
Wow. That's
And that was
beautiful.
before I had two dogs. So Gloria was very quiet. And
Very
it was
quiet.
sitting next to me that
Yeah,
time.
because Zoe saw the deer standing there, and I think if Zoe wasn't barking, she was in the house, but she was still barking, I think it would have stayed a little bit longer. But it really did look me right in the eyes. And it was just such a really cool, it's just such a really cool feeling to feel at one with that. Geo wonders who the author of the book Secret Life of Trees is. Do you know?
Oh, shucks.
I can look it up. I can
Yeah,
probably look.
Google. We could Google that really fast. And I know you can get it on Audible because somewhere along the line, my copy had gotten torn up to the point where I couldn't read it anymore. So I had it on Audible last summer.
All right. So here it is. There's actually two tree books. This one is by The Secret Life of Trees, How They Live and Why They Matter by Colin Tudge, Tudge. There's another one that is The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Ancient World, I think it says. And this is by Peter Wolleben and Jane Billinghurst. I
I
don't know
think it's
which one it is.
the first one, Tudge.
The first one? Okay, by
I
Tudge.
think that's
Okay.
the original.
It have a green cover? A green cover?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Well,
Okay.
how many times it's been printed depends on which book you
Oh,
get,
that's
right?
very true. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, The Secret Life of Plants, if you'll think back to what's the 70s, mid
Mm-hmm.
70s, there's a place in New York, in upstate New York, where they did this experiment with the neglected garden and the garden that everybody paid attention to and spoke to the plants and how big those
Oh,
plants got. That book is based on, or has a lot of fact and stuff in that book from that experimental place.
Well, don't you remember back in the 70s, people were putting classical music on and talking to their plants in the house, and they were
I
growing, and yeah,
Yeah, I still
it
do
was
that. I don't
amazing.
know why
Yeah.
how I killed my ivy. Somehow I did something to kill my ivy, but everybody else is thriving. My
Uh-huh.
Christmas cactus just got done um, blooming again for Easter. It blooms two, three
Well,
times a year for me.
so it's now a multi holiday
Yeah.
cactus.
I have a poinsettia in a pot that I basically neglect and then put
Uh-huh.
outside in the summertime.
Yep.
And I get red bracts off of it because on a poinsettia, it's the little yellow buds that are actually the flower. The red
Uh-huh.
bracts are the leaves, but it's very hard to get red bracts if
I see.
you take it
Yeah.
out and transplant it and all that. It's not easy, but it likes the abuse that the outdoors gives it. It likes cold nights because it's originally a
Oh,
desert plant.
okay. And that's what happens. I mean, it could be as hot as hell during the day,
Mhm.
but you need a blanket at night if you're in the desert, if you were
Right?
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So, Mary, there's a few feral cats that are friends. I believe it. Oh, I bet they take care of each other out there. Yeah. Cats rub against them and they kiss nose to nose. Oh, that's adorable. That's adorable. I
That's
love
so
that.
special.
I
And you
know.
don't know, maybe one of those feral cats was nursed by a deer.
Yeah. You've
It
seen
wouldn't.
Stranger Things, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly. Um, I remember I've never been a cat person because I just didn't. My mother was afraid of them. Interestingly enough, she must have had a terrible past life in Egypt or something. But I remember my friend had rescued some feral cats in New York City. She lived downtown New York City, and telling me about the different ways she had to treat it and how long it took for the cat to warm up to her and everything,
Uh,
because it's like they have to you know allow you in, I guess,
well,
in order for you.
and it's it, PSD
Uh-huh.
because
Yes.
or PD, yeah, post traumatic
Oh,
stress.
PT. Yeah. PTSD. Yeah.
Hello, right? Because they've been feral. Somehow they ended up feral, and
Yeah.
now they're being captured.
Hmm.
And it's not easy being feral in the city. Yeah, you're going to find some mice, but there's a lot of dangers in the
Yeah. There are a
little
lot of dangers.
sewer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
threatening. Threatening.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Wow. There's a movie that I remember seeing as we're talking about animals now and not dreams, but and there's a country, and I can't tell you which country it is right now, right off the top of my head, like Thailand, let's say. I don't think it was, but where there nobody owns, everybody owns the abandoned dogs or the city dogs, the city
India,
dogs. Is it in India too? Okay.
yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And people will look out for the dogs, feed the dogs, but nobody owns the dogs. The dogs belong to everybody.
Hmm.
And when somebody tries to take one and domesticate it, I don't think they give them a ticket or anything, but it isn't what they want. They want the dogs to be able to run free and to be taken care of by everybody. I don't know if we could get away with that here. I
I
don't
don't know.
think we could. Yeah, I don't think we.
Key West does that with cats.
Oh, I had no idea. Okay.
Hemingway's house is devoted to
Uh-huh.
cats. He
Okay.
had devotion to cats and brought
Uh-huh.
all the feral cats to live on his
Oh,
grounds.
his
And
grounds.
they
Okay.
still do.
Okay.
They still
Okay.
do. And there's
Wow.
this one cat who's had many offspring that live on his property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they just perpetuate. They continue,
Hmm.
because there's probably no um, operations or anything to sterilize them. I would imagine. I don't.
No,
You have.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's all
Yeah.
part of the plot.
Yeah. Part of the plot. Part of the. It's allowing it to be the way it
Yeah.
is, which is, yeah, very cool. Does anybody have any dreams, other dreams that
No,
they would like to
we're
bring
having
up?
a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are. Yeah, we don't want to go too far off the topic here, but it's been fun to talk about some of these things. I haven't had a lot of dreams myself. I was on Sunday with Jean and Terry, and I remembered that I had had a dream of Freddie, and Freddie was in my dream, and I had won the date, not a date, but like a fan's date with him for the day, and that somebody else had won a date with one of the other band members, and we were on a bus, and I was sort of taking care of him because he didn't feel good. He had a stomach ache. And so the other guy had to take him home because he didn't feel good. And I said, well, you can't help it. If you don't feel good, you should go home. And he said, I want you to write to me, and I promise that I will communicate with you. And I took that to mean ask and thou shalt receive.
Well, and he was probably already sick.
It's very possible, because I knew that he died from sickness. Maybe that in my mind was there as well. Yeah, because but he was very young. He was probably, in his 30s in the dream. But it was, I took the message as, please just reach out and let me know if I can help you in any way. I'm always been here, but I'm here to say hello. It was just I woke up and I felt really good because I haven't seen him in a while. So it was kind of nice. It was a kind of a nice dream. Okay, Mary. So many years ago, in a house I shared, I would go outside on the back porch and my cat would be hanging out with a couple of raccoons. Oh, that's funny.
That's funny. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I like raccoons.
Yep. And then there's the old skunks that my mother-in-law used to call polecats. She called them polecats. Kentucky thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That old varmint polecat. Hey, look at those two little puppies.
I know it's the puppy with its stuffed animal, which is adorable.
Oh, yeah. That was teacup variety.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a little stuffy or something. But Jance Free said she used to dream about her teeth falling out, and I usually don't remember. That would make you remember if your teeth are starting to fall out. I've heard other people say that they thought it was something different than I do. I always thought it was the small details, but it also has to do with your communication. So,
right?
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think?
First, I would think small details.
Yeah.
Because what else is around the dream?
Right. True. Yes. The only thing she might have remembered, though, was the teeth falling out. So maybe she didn't. I don't know if she remembered the whole thing, but yeah.
Communication, telling lies. Did you speak the truth? Did you not speak the truth? Yeah.
And I end up. My mother always, probably too much information, but my mother would always tell me that I could not use a public restroom to sit, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And so you'd go somewhere, and if you had to pee, you would just sort of hang yourself over the toilet because you couldn't sit because it's got germs or whatever it was. And so in my mind, I always thought that it would be too hard to go somewhere knowing that what if I had to go and then I had to go home or whatever. So I still have dreams about public toilets, and in my dreams, I liken it to the idea of running off. In other words, if you have to go to the bathroom and you can't hold it, it's probably loose, and it's something that's running off, something you can't control. Right. And I think it's a defense mechanism for me when I'm in that sort of a situation where maybe I'd like to leave the situation that I'm in, or maybe I'd like to have things change, or there might be something else that is bothering me. And this is the way that my mind takes care of the unconscious worry. But I don't know.
Yeah. So this is, you talk about being worried, right? To sit on the seat. I know. Right. I grew up with that same philosophy.
Right.
But a little bit older than you, and there is this island that was an amusement park, and it's on the Canadian side of the Detroit River, and it's
Okay.
Pablo,
Hmm.
and it was established in the 1910,
Oh,
1920 is when it began, right?
yep.
And you're
Yep.
talking about an era where women wore a lot of underclothes as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you know that there are urinals for women? And I grew up with those urinals, and
I
I've
didn't know
used
they had them that long ago.
I've used
But you
them.
just back in, right? But you have to take your pants off
Right.
pretty
Well,
much.
because they
Yeah,
had bloomers with open
true.
crotches. So
Yeah.
they didn't worry about nothing. And the girdles, if they had a girdle on, there was no crotch
Sure.
to it, you know?
True. True. Well, we had a garter belt. That's why. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Or whale bones, depending on how
Whale
old
bones.
you were.
Oh, we're not that old. Sorry.
No, but
Uh,
Mae West would sure tell you all about it.
well, I never had a grandmother alive when I was alive, but I had heard a story of my grandmother and my aunt who were in probably a 1925 car taking a road trip somewhere, and they had to go to the bathroom. And of course, there's no place to stop in 1925, so you have to go in the woods. So my grandmother took my aunt, and they walked and they walked and they walked. And can we stop now? Can we? No, we have to keep going. We have to keep going because nobody can see us. Nobody can see us. And so finally, they ended up at this spot, and they both squatted down and they were ready to go. And all of a sudden, they heard woo woo, and there's an engineer going.
Well, at least they didn't get poison ivy out of the deal.
Oh my God, I can't. They must have been mortified because, it was so important. Nobody saw them, and so it was one of the best stories I ever, because I didn't
Right,
know much about them, and what they did. But
right. That's
yeah, it was
hilarious.
pretty funny. Pretty
And at
funny.
least they didn't get lost.
Uh huh.
They could
Uh huh.
follow the railroad tracks and find the road.
Yeah, you would have thought that they would see railroad tracks there, but maybe it was hidden behind something or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, but the conductor had a good day. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. Anyway, wow. So, any other dreams in your little dream journal that you want to share with us before we finish up tonight?
Oh, sure.
Everybody
Sure.
that doesn't know, Diana is, of course, she's an oil painter, but she's an artist, and she keeps a dream journal. And she, as you saw in the one with the motorcycle, she, you know, writes, draws it out, and it becomes really, really out on paper. Not just writing down words, but writing down images. Yeah.
Right. I have a trick for people who say they don't remember their dreams or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
When you if you can't write it down, or just don't want to turn on the lights, or don't want to talk into your phone, whatever, my habit is to try to remember one word, just
Ah.
one word about the dream.
Uh-huh.
And then while you go do your business, see if you can remember another word and another word. And then
Uh-huh.
just keep repeating that to yourself. When you go
Right.
back to sleep, if you get up again, do the same thing. And then in the
Okay.
morning when you get up, it can come back to you just because you have memorized 3 words.
Couple of words.
And
That's right.
right,
Yep.
right.
And
So,
sometimes those words are the most important part, or you wouldn't have picked them. Right?
right,
I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So the
Yep.
other night we had this dream meetup, right?
Uh-huh.
And we were supposed to ride our dragons. So I
Okay.
did. And I'm riding on my dragon, and I have a dragon that has a unicorn head on it, right?
Oh, wow.
And we're trying to catch up with the Jupiter sun Kizmi.
Okay.
Kazemi, that was
Kazami. Yep.
on when the Jupiter was close to the center of the sun, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as that was going on earlier that day, we decided to have this for the dream. So now I knew I was in the realm of Jupiter, and there was this
Uh-huh.
portal that it wasn't glass, it was like crystal. And my dragon, this is me on him, hanging on for dear life. He goes straight through this thing and breaks the glass ceiling, if you will. There were beautiful shards of purple and like the magenta and corals that are in your shirt. All of those shattered and going everywhere. And actually, I was watching Greg Braden yesterday, and in his background for the episode he had on yesterday was exactly what cracked open when this cracked.
Like fractals? Yeah, like fractals.
Oh, it was just amazing. So then when I got down inside of there, what I saw, my dragon goes and lands, and he has like flames coming up, but they're not, intense hot flames, but they are yellow to orange and red. And I got off of his back, and he was not floating, but not really sitting on the ground either, yet his legs were folded up, right? And there was this great big portal that I began to go through.
Right.
And it was like, you remember the brownie box cameras?
Oh, yeah.
You snap the shutter, you could see the lens roll and snap shut.
Yep.
That's what this was like. It was like that collapsing fan of a camera lens. So it was a square within the shutter, and they were all those different colors. And there it was again in that show with Greg Braden yesterday.
Okay.
So as I plunged through that portal, those crystals became all many different colored lights. And there was like a grid of copper and a grid of gold and a grid of silver. And then once I had gone in through the portal, all of my friends were there. All of these people that were supposed to be there were there in the room. Now this room had blue and white gingham check. I really must start doing these things in color.
You have such amazing recall. It blows my mind.
Well, when I got up to do my business, I remembered blue and white.
Blue? Okay. Like
little checks. On a wall, there was a stairway. The stairway had blacked out painted walls here. And there was this door, but the door had a window, and that window was another portal. There was also a baby crawling around on the floor. And Jay, if you're still with us, you can pipe in any time now. Because Jay was standing somewhere around in here, and I didn't know that Jay had such long curly hair. And yesterday when we were together in a Zoom thing, I saw her hair, and it was exactly as it was in this meeting. Inside of this hallowed space, which at the time, of course, I didn't understand what this was, but this was her baby nephew that had just been born. And this was the little scooter buggy that he was in. It was kind of like a duck shape, maybe a dragon shape. And at the top of this, I'm trying to cover this portal so nothing comes in and nothing goes out, so he doesn't crawl out it. But so nobody can get him. And Valerie's brother, Nick, shows up at the top of the stairs and says, "What are you doing?" And I'm saying, I'm trying to get this towel to stick to the window. It's the right color. It wasn't gingham check, but it was blue.
It was blue. It was a male.
And I made my paste look like the same color. Nobody will see it. It's all the same color. And he said, "But I have something better. You should have talked to me first." And he went back up the stairs, and that was when I woke up and the day had started. Wow. So,
well, first of all, I love you broke the glass ceiling. And so my feeling is that the group of you were breaking the glass ceiling. You were doing a collective dream, which is not something that a lot of people, at least that I've ever heard of, only recently.
Right.
And so just the idea of even doing it and seeing that it was working was fabulous. I mean, just
Right.
amazing. And then you've got the lens. So you've got a lens into this other world, this different place, this other dimension, or yeah.
It was right. It closed for protection. It opened
Mm-hmm.
to allow you to come in and go, just like the light, letting the
Uh-huh.
light in on a
Yeah.
camera's
Yep.
lens, snapping it to catch it on the film. This is the
Right.
old style camera, not, I don't know how digital,
Correct.
but it's got to be
Yep.
some sort of a system very similar. Can't be that much different. Just
Mm-hmm.
no more film.
Right. Right. Wow. And then you had prayed for him when he was born because his mother was in a bad accident right before the full moon. So yeah, bringing in this new child into the world, making sure that he was safe, and So the other thing is, because we can't remember when we come out of the birth canal, it has to be quite startling for us, because you're coming out of the birth canal, if in fact, or if you're being plucked out of a cesarean, whichever way, you're in
Yeah.
this dark, warm, wonderful place, and all of a sudden you got all this light, and you got all these colors and all these noises and all these people. It has to be pretty scary, you know.
Think about them feral cats getting dragged into a house. They've been happy in the sewer. They had all the rats they wanted.
That's right. Why did you move me? What's wrong with you? But then the gingham, oh my goodness.
Well, and blue and white. You know how
And
blue and
blue
white
and white.
was
Yeah.
associated with baby boys
Baby
in the old
boys.
days.
Uh-huh. But the stairway is bringing him down to earth,
Right?
bringing him down. And there's a door and a window to the portal. And so, both of those are portals. And
Well,
this baby is brand new, coming into the world and seeing the
right.
world for, wow.
With all of us there protecting him, like, all of the
Uh-huh.
fairy godmothers around Rose Red. And
Right.
then Nick standing at the top of the stairs. Now he's about construction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yep.
the thing is that he is getting in touch with his higher self through all of this
I
that
know.
he's having to recover from, right? And so
Right.
the fact that he came down a little bit to talk to us, but then went back up, was like leaving us women to do our thing
Right.
while he went
Right.
on to do his thing, which right now he's studying. Because
Mm-hmm.
think about it, we're already elevated because our whole thing was to be up there by Jupiter,
That's
right?
true.
So,
True. Yeah. So heaven's near Jupiter,
right, right.
Oh, he was born in a Swedish hospital. A very good friend of mine and a former student of mine is a nurse at Swedish. That's fabulous. Yeah. Lots of connections. And so what's important to mention before we wrap up today, I guess, is how all these connections, they're synchronistic. They're not, and the serendipity that also comes along with it. It's just the mysteries of life all coming together in this huge.
I know.
Yeah.
And think about how many times you have these synchronistic dreams and you don't even know it.
You don't know it.
So
That's
I have,
yeah.
I call them my nieces. We're really
Right.
cousins, but I'm so much older than them. Feel like they're my nieces. And
Uh-huh.
we would just start texting it. Hey, I'm looking for a crossover. Did you dream about blah, 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 blah? Did you dream about blah, 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 blah? And so you do
Yeah.
that with your friends when you're
Sure.
having coffee in the morning or whatever. So I had a dream last night. Let's see if you had something that crosses over into this. And that's how
Mhm.
it starts. And you can build on that to have a program dream.
Well, we had that last week, actually. I don't know if you caught it, but there was a woman going to a fabric store. It was one of the dreams here. She went to the fabric store and she came out of the fabric store and she saw a bus, and her sister was in the bus. And her sister had the dream and saw her from inside the bus at the fabric store. I think it was, yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing. That's amazing. I thought,
yeah,
I think that was fabulous. I love
I
dreams
do.
like that.
I know. And they hadn't even planned on it. You know, they hadn't planned that. Like you
Right.
guys had sort of planned to meet up, but I
Right.
don't think they
But so
did,
think
unless they
about
did it in
how
by
many times
yourself.
that happens randomly
Right.
because
Right.
they're living proof of it right there with that dream.
Well, the other thing I want to say is that whenever you see something brand new or something, let's say, for instance, if you were not us, but if you were pregnant or you got a new Volkswagen and it was green, you would see tons of Volkswagens that were green. You had never seen them before, but now you see them everywhere. Or
Yeah.
you see pregnant women everywhere if you're pregnant, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's like the universe conspires to bring all that together and show you the synchronicity and how
Right.
that all
Because
works.
nothing is really random. We think
Nothing's
it
random.
because we don't
Right.
share it enough to
Right.
understand that there are no
Yep.
random. I
There's
get the
nothing.
thought, but somebody else had the thought at the same time.
That's
And
right.
that could be like I thought I started the phrase punch buggy. I
Uh-huh.
go.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
called it a punch buggy. It was a 1977 Volkswagen punch buggy. I had to
Uh-huh.
jam that thing all the time. The clutch was always gone and I could still shift gears. The brakes were always
Uh-huh.
leaving and I could still stop.
Uh-huh.
But I call it a punch buggy because I had to punch it. And
Yeah.
next thing I know, everybody's calling them punch buggies. And I'm like, well, burst
Yeah.
my
Did
bubble.
you make it up or was it already out there and everybody just thought of it? Yeah, I get it.
You
No, I
know,
do. Yeah.
that's it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like when you blow bubbles and kids start chasing, you know, they
Yeah.
all break them at the same time. So,
Yeah. So look for the mysteries, whether you're asleep or you're awake, wherever you are. All those things are providing you with information on your journey. And don't take anything for granted. Sometimes they're messages that you need to really heed. There are people that you need to meet, and there are things you need to do. And
yeah.
so, if it depends on how you handle what you see. But if it's unusual, write it down. Write it down and try not to forget because there's something about it that's important.
Right. Exactly. And put a date on it.
Right. Right.
If you can,
Yep.
if you remember to put the date on it, when you do, and it comes back to you,
Yep.
you can go right. You know, you can find it, and it's just validation if for nobody
It
else but
is for you. Yeah. Yep. We all don't think we have these abilities, but we all do. I just read this 97% of us in the world, not, we, we just don't think about anything. We take it for granted. There's only 3% of the people that really look at things,
yeah.
And this was an older book that I was reading. I wouldn't think it would be much more than that right now. And of course, if I bring things up sometimes to my kids and I'll say, oh, this happened at this time, and they go, so? And I'd be like, okay, but to me, it makes a difference,
Yeah,
So,
and someday
yeah.
they're gonna
They're
understand.
going to have that happen.
They'll
That's
understand
right.
what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
That's very true. Thanks, Mary. It is so amazing us being in this tiny speck of spectacular. Perfectly
Oh,
said.
like that.
Perfectly said.
You
Very
just
nice.
praise.
Yes, absolutely. Well, everybody, thank you for being with us tonight. Diana and I send a lot of love along to Kate and John, and we'll see if she'll be back next week. If not, Diana hopefully will be back with me, and she might come back anyway, even if Kate comes. But it's always a joy to have you with me, and thank you, Kate. Thank you, Diana, for coming on short notice too. So thank you.
Oh, I love being around you. You're special.
Oh, you're so special yourself. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.